Hey YouTube, working on a Toro with a Tecumseh motor. Been having a lot of, got busy doing a lot of repairs, a lot of, I call them long repairs, which, you know, instead of being real quick and simple stuff, uh, I had actually I had three mowers this year that I had gotten them to run back in the fall, carb clean, whatever the motors ran. And put them away, and in the spring pulled them out, and for some reason or other it didn't run. One of them was the one I did on the video, that Craftsman with the Briggs motor. That was the one that had the wrong jet in the carb. I had to swap the carb to get it to smooth out. I had another one just like this, Toro Tecumseh motor, front wheel drive. Ran it last season, ran it at the end of the season. Cut the yard with it, everything, put it away. Went to start it. Was having a problem starting. That one I did reset the valves on back in the fall because it had no compression at all. And it was running. But for whatever reason or other, I ended up having to give that another adjustment on the valves to get that one to run. This guy here I knew was going to need some work. So this one, actually I've been testing this one out, using this to cut in my own yard because it has a new blade on it. It's a nice mower. It's actually identical to the one, my own mower. So I've just been using this. I was getting a grinding sound out of the rear wheels. Thought it might be the transmission shot, but actually it was a wheel. I can show you that here. Look at these gear teeth. You get a focus here. You can see pretty nice teeth there, but as you go around here, you can see how it's wore out. So I had to replace this wheel and the one pinion bearing inside of the wheel. Now it's running. The transmission's working. So anyway, getting back to this. This how it came. Had this knockoff carb in here. It ran at first, and then I was having a problem with it didn't prime. So if you go to my video about the no prime situation, you can look at that one. I took this primer bulb off like I did in that one. I sanded off that area, actually, I replaced this bulb because I noticed a little tear in the other one. And anyway, I put this one on and it still doesn't prime. So the surface under here in the casting is not the best. I could, put some, I guess, silicone in here or something, try to seal it, but still not priming. So if I shoot, carb spray in here, get it started, then it runs. Problem I was having was the idle. It would be idling normally, okay, and then you hit a clump of grass where it should speed up, and it would stay at that low idle, and might kind of start to come up. And then so I was thinking, okay, maybe this jet in here is not right, because it's almost like a two-cycle. When you hit that trigger and there's like a delay, you have to adjust the mixture. So that's what I was thinking. But the last time I used it, I came down here, and I believe while it was running, I was looking at this governor arm here. This governor arm goes over to a link and attaches onto the throttle. And it was actually getting like stuck. Like here is full open, or rather that's closed. See how it's not springing back? It should pop back. You could hear that like click. So I don't know if it's this throttle. See, this should just move back and forth like this. But throttle's down, it gets stuck. And so either, could be another issue with this cheap carb. I'm going to check that linkage there to see that's not bent, but because it doesn't prime anyway, what I did was I got a carb that I had, an OEM carb, Tecumseh, and I rebuilt it. So I'm going to swap this one out for the OEM carb and see if that fixes the prime issue and also this throttle issue, because this should be pretty much it on this mower. Went over everything else. So hang on, we'll get that carb out. Okay, so I took the cover off. There's 4/4 inch bolts that hold that on. Actually, I have this tilted up a little bit. If you're wondering why, it's because there is some gas in the tank, so it'll drain out that way. You could clamp off the line if you want. I'm just choosing to do it this way. Or to get this off, I got to take this muffler out. So these are 7/16 bolts. Now there's 3/8 bolts in here. Some people take this off down here, but then you ruin this gasket. Find it's easier to take it off here. You can usually save this gasket. If you notice, this has a non-standard bolt in here because when I got it, this bolt was not here and it was stripped out. So what I did was I got actually it was stripped out on the top part of the threads, but there was still some thread further down in the hole. So I took the bolt with the same thread, but just longer than the original, and I was able to tighten this down. So that's sort of a, that's sort of a secondary little repair there. I did have to adjust valves on this one too. That's why I said this one was a long project. Now, if you're lucky, this one will come out without having to put a second wrench on. Okay, there we go. I saved the gasket. So disconnect that. Let me just double check this is correct. That looks correct. Okay, got that off. Unhook this fuel line. Okay, so this is the other carb. And that's how I drain the fuel. So, what's the problem here? Does this work without restriction? Yes, seems to work. How about this guy? Okay, let me verify. This is the link that was on here with another one I have. Let's see if this guy's bent. This is what I took off. And yes, there is a difference. So it looks like it's bent out, so that could have been causing that problem. See the two ends? So most likely that caused the problem with the governor not being able to go back, but either way the carb didn't work because it didn't prime. So this is OEM Tecumseh carb, which I think you can see Tecumseh there. This is rebuilt. I may swap the primer bulb because I did change the primer bulb in an attempt to see if it would prime on this guy. So I may swap that primer bulb out, but I'm going to rehook this up and show you what it looks like. Okay, carb's back. Here's the linkage. not binding up. And I did straighten this one out. Or actually, is this end here? Nope, is this end. Back to what it should be. So somebody had played with this, you know, so when they yanked this off, they might have bent this thing. So anyway, had no prime before, so I'm gonna put the rest of this back, see if it primes and see if it starts. Okay, so let's go for a cold start here. It says three primes. 1, 2, 3. One more for good luck. Sure I got the plug on. Now this one was taking a couple pulls. This one was taking maybe 2 pulls to start. It did take a few pulls, but I should say that I did have to do a valve adjustment on this, and I may need another touch up on that. So anyway, that's the problem with the governor, and also it did prime, but I think it just didn't start because of that. I got to look at the valves for an adjustment. Okay, if you found this helpful, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks.